Alright guys, Daniel here from the Truck Insurance Channel. In this episode, if you are a owner of a trucking company, an executive of a trucking company, you definitely want to watch this. If you're a driver and you want to find the best job you possibly can, you really want to watch this as well. This is kind of for everyone. So today our guest is Andy Kidd from Motor Supply. Andy, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, good to be here, Daniel. I've been in safety for just over 10 years. Started with a company that we started with one truck and grew that to well over 150 trucks. So I've taken this journey and seen what, the impact that things that safety's got to look after in terms of recruiting the right people, hiring the right kind of drivers, how to work with them on the road to improve their performance, and ultimately everything's got to be managing the risk and the insurance side of that. So that's what I've been doing for the last part of my life.
Okay, wow. So you got a little bit of experience.
A little.
Especially through that growth. That 1 to 150 is kind of insane. That I'm sure is very, very challenging. I just want to jump straight into this. If you could only have one tool, like one and only tool to evaluate drivers, like in the recruiting stage, what would you use?
Of anything, I would choose probably the PSP, because the MVR has pretty much a cradle-to-grave history of the driver, including in his personal vehicle. But the PSP focuses in just on what he has done for the last 3 to 5 years in a commercial motor vehicle.
What is a PSP report and why is it important?
PSP stands for Pre-Screening Program. It was set up by the government to give carriers, trucking companies, access to the data that they collect on commercial motor vehicle drivers. There are two things on there. There are 5 years of DOT reportable accidents, and they are accidents which involve either a fatality, someone gets hurt away from and is treated away from the scene, or a vehicle is disabled and towed. So 5 years of that. The second part is 3 years of CSA inspections. Inspections at a waste station or a roadside inspection when they pull you in because they've noticed something's wrong. You got a light out, a flat tire, or something like that, or you're following too closely. So those are the two things. 5 years of reportable crashes and 3 years of inspections.
Okay, you already kind of touched on the difference between an MVR and PSP, but just to clarify, what are all the differences?
Well, the MVR is going to have, someone my age, your MVR is going to be pretty long because it'll keep a record of everything to do with you obtaining a driver's license or permit, when you got your permit, when you passed your test, when you upgraded from a Class C to a B or an A, the original date you got it, any accidents that you've been involved in, just everything like that's on there. Any other civil cases that where you've been at fault, it's going to be on there too.
I've heard a lot of drivers say that they just got a warning. Can you explain a little bit about that and what people really need to know? Right,
and it's a little fine tuning, perhaps, a little nuance of the whole system. But there's time, the inspector will say to the driver, I'm just giving you a warning. But they still write up the inspection report. Here's the big difference of it. When they do a warning like that, I cannot challenge it. If I'm your safety officer and you come and tell me, this guy checked the pressure of my tires, he didn't do a good job because I went through Tire Pass just 5 minutes before this. I have a computer printout showing I was 106 on that tire, and he wrote it up at 60. I saw him put the thing on, and I heard it leaking. He didn't do a good job. I can present all that evidence in a data queue, challenge that thing, that inspection, and get it taken off. So a warning ticket, we have a company policy, or usually companies have policies. They'll say, do not accept a warning ticket. If the officer says, I'm going to be easy on you, I'm going to give you a warning, say, sir, please, just go ahead and give me the full ticket.
What violations may appear on the PSP report?
They're going to fall into, again, the basics or the categories that they're not talking about. Unsafe driving, things like driving too fast, driving too close, changing lanes, being in the wrong lane. They're always going to cite chapter and verse and tell you which code you violated. Vehicle maintenance issues could be flat tires, lights not working, brakes not adjusted properly, mud flaps missing, those types of things.
Are some violations worse than others?
Absolutely, definitely. And up to now, the system that we have had, 10 points is the maximum points you can get on a line item in an inspection, 10 points. And funny enough, 30 points is the maximum points you can get overall in an inspection. So even if you had more than 30 points, on the company CSA score, they only charge 30 of them as a limit. 0 to 5 over is 0 points speeding. They can still give you a citation or a CSA inspection. 6 to 10 is 4 points, and 10 to 14 is 7 points.
What if a driver receives a violation for, like faulty equipment? Isn't the company at fault for that?
Yes, on the inspection form, there are some items that it says on the PSP, it'll say vehicle only, and it'll say that it's not the driver's fault. But think about it. If the light was out, are you not supposed to be checking? As a driver, do you want to drive a truck with no turn signal on your trailer?
No.
And cause
No.
So even though they designate that it was a company fault, you have responsibility for that too. And if you choose to drive knowingly a piece of equipment that's got problems, that's a bad decision. Very bad decision.
So just, don't be a driver that says, oh, well, it's the company, it's not me, because it can still stick to you. So we've got some examples of violations that appear on PSP reports. If you would just kind of highlight a little bit of this for me.
Well, I'm looking at one right here. Driver violation 395. 395 is hours of service. Okay? False report of driver's record of duty status.
That never happens.
That does happen. Just for a little inside help. False report of duty status means this is not correct. It's not that you went over your 14-hour or your 11 or your 70. It's usually you're abusing PC. That's a big points number, because on the company's CSA score gets multiplied by 3 for the first 6 months it's on there.
Jeez.
On a small company,
Yeah, the multiplier. Yeah.
that can really cause them major problems. I've got a client at the minute that he's got one truck, got one bad inspection, and he's losing 50% of his business, because he's going to have about 5 clean inspections to counteract that one bad inspection. 393 is vehicle maintenance, tire flat, audible air leak, inoperable required lamp is section again 393. 392, failing to use a seat belt, right? Here's one that is amazing. Driving without a CDL. Okay. I've got a CDL, right?
Right.
Watch carefully. Now I don't have a CDL.
Oh, wow.
Because
That's the difference.
on my CDL it says I have to use corrective lenses. I got a CDL again. If you could stop and you're not wearing your glasses, you get on your PSP, you are driving without a CDL. 392.2, lane restriction violation. Very common one.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing. It means you were not paying attention to the signs as you're driving along. Here's one here, which it says it's a vehicle violation. The tag or registration was incorrect. Now, that is strictly speaking a company violation.
Right.
But it's part of your pre-trip inspection to check that your vehicle is registered, that you have all the documents in your on your trailer. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're picking up 4 or 5 trailers a day, doing drops and hooks, check them all, because that still reflects on you as a driver.
What about an example of a good PSP report and then maybe a not so favorable one, or just a bad PSP report?
I got one here that I'll let you decide. Okay, this guy's got one DOT reportable crash. Of course, it doesn't say on here whether he was at fault or not. So we've got to find that out from him. How can he prove he wasn't at fault? Police report. Now we get the other thing that's on there, 3 years of inspections. He has had in total of 9 inspections. Of those 9 inspections, he has 1 clean inspection.
Okay, so he failed 8 out of 9 times.
Yes. And in one of them here, he's got 4 things wrong.
Well, I need to put a driver in my truck, so let's hire him.
You're taking a huge risk. You're taking a huge risk. Well, so you wouldn't hire this guy.
No, I don't think I'd hire that one.
So that's why a PSP tells us what the driver's like.
You don't get anything about inspections on MVRs. All right, so what's the difference between a traffic violation and a DOT inspection violation?
With the DOT inspection, they're going to give a report on that. They're going to ask you to sign off on the paperwork for what they found. If there's no violations, it's a good thing. It's going to go on your PSP. If there are violations, it's going to show you what they were, and it's going to basically go to the company, right? If they choose to give you a civil citation for speeding, then that's what most drivers think of as, I got a ticket.
Right.
But the inspection, the outcome of that inspection stays with you, and it stays with the company. So the officer may say it's just a warning, but it's not a warning. It's a real thing. It's there on your record. It's going to stay there for 3 years, and you're going to have to explain what happened.
What are the consequences for the driver and the company of failed inspections?
Okay, company, they've got to carry insurance on all their vehicles and their drivers. And so the insurance companies will pull the MVRs mostly, but they're also going to look at the CSA scores, and within that they get the details of all the drivers. You know, when it comes to the company's safety record, it's the drivers who get to take the exam. It's not the company. The drivers take the exam every time they're inspected at a weigh station or on a roadside inspection. And so they want to hire drivers who do well, who pass those exams for them.
How many drivers have you coached in your career?
Hundreds.
And how many of them knew about PSP reports?
Probably less than 10, not 10%, probably less than 10 could actually say, I've put my hands on my PSP report.
So less than 1% of all
Yes.
the drivers you've worked with. So Andy, you think every commercial driver should go and pull their PSP report?
Absolutely.
As a driver, what do you do with the PSP report after you've pulled it?
So there's going to be one of two things. If there are things on there that are bad, that are not attractive to companies, you've got to realize that's what you're looking at in the mirror, and you've got to start working on fixing those things. In 3 years, you have an opportunity. You'll have a blank sheet, and some of the stuff that's on there might be falling off in 2 months' time. There's a 3-year window. You can fix it. It's in your power to fix those things.
Are trucking companies obligated to pull PSP reports?
Not by law, but any good company will pull your PSP report. If you're getting hired on with a company who doesn't pull their PSP report, run from that company.
I probably wouldn't want to work for them. Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm a happy driver working for a company, but I watch this video, I realize I need to go pull my PSP report. I do that, I go on the FMCSA website, cost me $10, and then I realize I've got no accidents, no violations, or no inspections with violations, and I have like at least 3 inspections that I've passed. So I'm this ideal candidate, great driving record. How do I go find my dream job?
There are lots of companies advertising, and you can do a lot of research online to find out what are the best companies to drive for. But one of the clients that I work with, Motor Supply, if you send them your PSP, that one that you've got, they'll reimburse you the cost of pulling it, so there's nothing to lose.
That's pretty cool.
And they will be very keen to have you, and they're going to craft a custom job that works better for you. It's got the home time you need. It's got everything that you need to make to land your dream job.
Okay, so out of 30 applicants with their PSP reports, how many are that example?
One or two, perhaps. Very, very few. So you have incredible leverage. So do yourself a favor. Go pull your PSP. It's in the link below. Where to go? $10. It's the best thing that you can do, because if there's problems on there, you can deal with them. You need to make some changes, and if there's not problems on there, you could walk in and say, here's my PSP. I know you've seen it, I know you've checked it out, but I keep a check on it too.
If you haven't picked up already from watching this video, the really biggest takeaway you should have is go pull your PSP report. If there's anything on there, start working on improving that, and go land your dream job. But thank you for watching. Be safe out there. Don't forget all the links down in the description. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And stay tuned for more.